Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Trevor. Really grateful to have you here. And in today's video, I'm just going to be going over my weekly rotation, rounding out the end of the month of May here. Today is Memorial Day, I believe, so it's the 29th of May. So we've got one or two days left of the month before we start off in June, and I officially begin to rotate into my summer fragrances. But here at the end of spring, I started off my Monday last week with this one right here, Cartier Declaration Done Soir. So this is kind of a wet rose wrapped up in savory culinary elements. So there's something about this fragrance that sort of activates the saliva glands for me. Like it's mouth-watering, but it's mouth-watering in the same way that a steak is mouth-watering to me, as strange as that may sound. It doesn't smell like steak, but there is this savory quality from culinary or cooking type spices that are surrounding this rose. But the rose in here keeps it elegant, keeps it fresh, keeps it dewy, a little bit watery, a little bit wet, very much a refreshing cologne style juice inside this bottle. I recently was watching one of Justin Copeland's videos, and he said that he saw somebody compare this to Wendy's barbecue sauce, and while I don't get that as a one-to-one comparison, I do understand the culinary aspect to this fragrance. Beautiful stuff though, definitely punches above its weight class. I think this used to go for like 40 bucks, but it's hard to find under 70 now. I still think it's well worth that price though. Like I said, for a designer, this is definitely very unique, very elegant, and very well put together. That's Cartier Declaration Done Soir. Really great fresh rose fragrance for men. Okay, next we had Tuesday. Tuesday I busted this one out right here, Chanel Allure Homme Edition Blanche. It is a relatively new addition to my collection, so it was maybe my first or second wear with it, kind of getting to know it a little bit. I found it a little bit more airy and light than I was expecting. I thought the lemon meringue pie that has often been associated with this fragrance was going to be a little bit more creamy and dense and gourmand leaning to some extent, but no, this definitely has that airy Chanel aldehydic quality that makes it very bright, easy, light, not heavy at all. The citruses in here are very sparkly as well, so it has this very effervescent quality, almost ginger-like, even though I don't think there's any ginger in here. It has that sparkly, fizzy quality to it that some ginger fragrances have. Reminds me a little bit of Chic from Carolina Herrera, but this has added layers of dimensionality to it with the textural feels from the sparkly citruses and whatnot. I'm not sure how I feel about this one yet though. Don't know if I'm quite ready to recommend it. It could be a little bit overhyped in my opinion, but I do want to give it some more wears because it takes me a while to kind of appreciate a fragrance. So kind of like my first or second wear with this one. Right now it's a like but not a love for me. That's Chanel Allure Edition Blanche. Wednesday was a love for me fragrance that I wore, and it is Tom Ford's Beau de Jour. So this is, if you're not familiar with it, one of the iconic sort of barbershop style fragrances, something that very much captures the scent profile of that barbasol, the blue juice that you see the scissors soaking in at a barbershop. This has a incredible rich lavender note in here that accounts for the majority of the soapy sort of cleanliness that articulates that barbershop feel. There's mint in here that brightens it up and gives it a little bit of a green herbal touch, but also keeping it very bright at the same time. It's not a very dark, earthy quality. It's very much so kind of mentholic, and so in that sense it is more refreshing and something that you kind of could equate with the smell of cold air coming off of a snow dust landscape. This is one I really like to reach for as the snow is melting in March, but the bright quality in this and the kind of, how do I want to say it, just the elegance of it. It's great for a white t-shirt style day like today, where I've got nice temperate mid-70s and just something that helps me feel clean and sophisticated. Really beautiful stuff. And if you've ever smelled Davidoff Zeno, this is like a more modern take on that one, but still somewhat of an old school style fragrance. So that was Tom Ford's Beau de Jour for Wednesday. Okay, Thursday, another fragrance I've been testing out recently, added to the collection. Still don't know how I feel about it exactly, but it is a iconic classic, and that is L'Homme from YSL, the Eau de Toilette. Not La Nuit de L'Homme, just the Daytime L'Homme. So this fragrance is kind of, to me, it's a little bit powdery. It definitely has that L'Homme, or has the same DNA that you get from La Nuit de L'Homme, but it doesn't quite have the rich, sweet cardamom going on. There's predominantly ginger in this, but it doesn't, I don't get the sparkly textural feel, that fizzy quality that I usually get from ginger and other fragrances. This one has more of like a candied ginger quality to it, and a fabric softener. So it's a little bit creamy, almost almondy style sweetness, a little bit powdery, fresh though, very nice and refreshing because of that ginger in there. But otherwise kind of creamy, powdery, textural feel, fabric softener, cleanliness. I do really enjoy this. It doesn't last too long. I get about 3 hours with it, and so far, the conclusion I've come to on this one is that I think it's best to purchase the 200 ml of the big cylinder for this one, because I think you can get those for like $120 on discounters, which comes out to about $60 per 100 ml, which I think is what I'd be happy to pay for this. Usually at discounters though, this is like 85 to 90 for this 100 ml, which I think is a little bit too much for what is in here. So so far, I think if I were to recommend this one, I would say get the 200 ml of it, and that's kind of where I'm at, because it wears a little bit like an eau de cologne, and 120 is kind of in that ballpark of higher end designer, and for 200 mls for 120, I think that's a lot better of a deal than like 85 to 90 for this. But yeah, really, I think is a really nice ginger fabric softener with a little bit of like an almondy style sweetness going on, powdery quality. Again, kind of like Chanel, Allure, Homme Edition Blanche, alike right now, but not a love. That was Thursday. Friday, good old Silver Mountain Water. I like to wear niche fragrances on Friday. It's my favorite day of the week. This is just a really good representation of a fresh mountain stream rolling through a nice green, grassy, forested area. Very refreshing, very natural smelling, a little bit mineralic. There's a tea note in there that gives it that mineralic, slightly metallic vibe going on, but otherwise just really nice and refreshing. I do also really like Armas Sillage, so whether you have the money to buy this one or Sillage, I think both are great fragrances. So that was Friday, Creed's Silver Mountain Water. Saturday, Therapiea by Aroma's Chypre. So this is, again, another fragrance that runs into that fresh laundry vibe, that accord style, the floral quality to it, and the, sorry, I was trying to get the lighting to be a little bit more kind. Okay, this looks a little bit better. So yeah, the fresh laundry vibe, that accord is really something I like to wear in the month of May, and this gives you that fresh laundry style scent accord with a little bit of nice earthy sweet patchouli. That's at least what I pick up in here. They don't list notes for most of their fragrances at Therapiea by Aroma, but it's a really awesome indie brand. You can get their bottles for $25, so they're cheapies, but they're very high quality. The perfumer, Irene, was trained in Grasse, France, so she is classically trained in French perfumery, and she uses very high quality ingredients and has some of my favorite fragrances. I actually put this in my top 10 spring fragrances for 2023. So I definitely think this one's worth checking out. Fabric softener and patchouli. That's Chypre from Therapiea by Aroma. Okay, so that was Saturday, and we have one fragrance left. Sunday, which was yesterday, another fabric softener style fragrance, and this is probably my favorite in that genre, and that is Prada Infusion d'Iris Cedre. I think previously known as Prada D'Homme, D''Homme. So if you want to get like a vintage version of this, look for Prada D'Homme. But this is a really nice kind of hotel soap style fabric softener, very cold and brisk. It definitely reminds me of being in a very well air-conditioned fancy hotel, and the staff had just got done cleaning the room, and the sheets are absolutely firmly pressed, and there's just that hotel soap that's there, and it's just very luxurious. And this is basically Prada L'Homme for people who don't like sweet fragrances, is how I would describe this, which is right up my alley. I don't mind sweet fragrances. I like them every once in a while for certain reasons and occasions, but it gives me that Prada L'Homme cleanly, soapy office kind of cold, brisk feeling that I like about Prada L'Homme, without all the powderiness and all of the sweetness from like the ambers. Just very nice, refreshing, almost more of an aura than an actual fragrance, because it goes on pretty light and just smells like an enhancement to cleanliness rather than a additional fragrance on top of your clean skin. Yeah, so very nice cold hotel soap and fabric softener, Prada soapy vibe. That's what you get here, and then it dries down way in the deep dry down into a really nice cedar, hence d'Iris Cedre. Really nice cedar that kind of is reminiscent of the cedar that I get in Creed's Royal Oud. So very high quality ingredients here with Prada. And that was my week. Those are my thoughts on the fragrances that I wore this past week. Let me know what your experience with some of these are. Maybe you could help me kind of take a side on Chanel Allure Homme Edition Blanche and YSL L'Homme. I'm kind of on the fence with these two right now, but I've only worn them once or twice, so let me know what your thoughts on those are in the comment section down below, as well as what your weekly rotation was. And I appreciate you sticking with me to the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.